This is a throwing mechanics breakdown for Collin Ison, who participated in the Quarterback Magazine and Brady Performance SoCal QB wide receiver camp December 20th and 21st of 2025. This breakdown was done on Wednesday, January 14th, 2026. Like where his head position's at on the finish of this throw, we want that head to remain on the midline of the body, not dipping forward, not falling too far back, not leaning to either side. We want to try to keep that head as still as possible. That affects accuracy when it's off. Good. I like the base that Collin gets to here. He's got a quick foot strike. The quicker the foot strike, the better we're going to be able to get into sequence as far as the back hip rotating through, and then the trunk coming through second, the shoulder coming in third, the arm, hand, ball coming in fourth. Good finish, good acceleration, deceleration. You could be a little more violent with the hip, be a little more twitchier with the hip. But I think there's good balance here with this athlete, with Collin. Always try to maintain that good base, feet just outside the hips. Now I think, on his load here, to me, the elbow's getting a little bit too high and the football's getting a little bit too low. It's still a long distance to travel. We want a circular pattern in our throwing motion. We want equal and opposite with this left side and right side. But I think that there could be a point where that elbow can come up too much, because then we got to bring the ball back, and we've got to be able to get that elbow forward. There's layback element to it, with some external rotation on the shoulder as you're bringing your arm through. And I'd be curious to see some of his throws in live action, as it relates to, how high that elbow gets. We want this pattern to be a circular pattern, absolutely. So we want it to be in a circular fashion and be smooth and twitchy. I think the elbow gets to a good spot at the release point, about even with the shoulder joint, just above the shoulder joint. Want to keep the back foot connected, in my opinion. We want 3 points of contact, 1, 2, and then the third point of contact is going to be that extension towards the target. So the third point of contact is the arm extending towards the target. Missed a little bit wide. That was the other quarterback, sorry. Don't get the actual finish of the throw on some of these. I've always taught quarterbacks not to overextend this foot past the front foot. We want to start fast with the left foot. That's our balance side. This creates the structure for our throw. The left side is a right-handed quarterback, and then this right side is going to be the power side. This is where that ground force is really solidified. We push off the back foot, and then we rotate the back foot through, but there's got to be a stopping point. And to me, it's got to stop a little bit sooner, or decelerate a little bit faster. A lot of good with Collin's motion. Just feel like he's relaxed. He's not really pressing. Now, I do see some quarterbacks, drop their left side. After they've brought their left arm to the midline of the body, then they'll drop it off. I always like having and keeping that left arm right at the midline of the body to solidify the fact that this left side is our balanced side. This is what's going to allow us to rotate this power side and then decelerate the power side with good structure on the left side. And I think this left arm is part of it. And then keeping that tight to the midline of the body, I think, is a better method. Although I do see people do that, and if they're comfortable with that, wouldn't be a major stickler if I'm coaching you throughout the season on that. This front leg, I always want there to be a slight knee bend so that we can effectively rotate the back hip through. You understand like the whole concept of start and stop. I could see the decel in your motion. Smooth feet there, extending towards the target. One of the things I do like about this rep is your focus on where the ball is going to go, on the initial part of the throw. Your eyes are locked in, and then you look up at the ball. I think that's the right way to do it. Really lock in on where exactly you're throwing, because not one play is the same. You might get repeated looks and you might get similar looks, but the trajectory you need to throw at, the placement, depending on defenders and the speed of defenders, is going to be changed, play in, play out, and team in, team out. So, I think locking in on where you're throwing for that first split second after the throw is critical. Good structure, good balance. Make sure you're getting your drop. We want to try to get on any type of run action. We want to try to get the ball to the back as deep and as fast as possible. It's all about setting them up for success by you taking proper footwork and getting in position to execute. So to me, when you're pushing and pivoting on the right big toe, we want to really get this left big toe into the ground. So we want our mental weight on our left big toe there. And we want to be able to push and pivot. See how you pick up that foot? That's wasted movement, in my opinion. And we want to stay low. We want to stay low and explode out of this, okay? And then if we're going to go one-hand fake, then we're going to utilize a conceal technique with our right hand and squeeze it tight to our abdomen, to our stomach. Snap your eyes around. So if you look at this thing, you're at the goal line. I think your right foot should get to like almost to the top of the font of the cavers here at San Diego High School. I want to try to get that depth so you can actually step up or slide out in the pocket. The less depth, the less movement for you finding the quiet part of the pocket. The more depth, the more movement that you can create depending on how the pass rush is getting to you. Okay, we're just doing shove drill, just pretending like, hey, your left tackle's getting bull rushed, and you might get banged up a little bit, but if you're not being tackled to the ground, you want to try to maintain a good throwing base. I like the twitchiness and the bounce in your feet. You have good body control. Good. I like those types of fakes. Just make sure, you get your body lined up as if you're going to make that initial throw, right? That's always a key in any type of pump. And a palm off is typically going to be effective. You kind of see that elbow up again here. So I think just pretend like you're elbowing an elf. Elbow the elf as far as the initial load goes, and then start to bring the elbow through as your arm lays back, and you start going through the acceleration phase and then the release and follow through phase. Okay, good. Subtle movements. The less movement that you have to undergo on a given play, the better chance your linemen are going to have to continue to work their blocks. If you move a ton, defenders are going to be watching you, and then they get to disengage and then move to the new spot. So the minimal movement that you create in the pocket is going to help your offensive lineman. Good. All right, locked in on your progression there. As you start attacking forward in the pocket, It's all about understanding what your order of operation is. Okay, so when you do these fakes, this is something I see as a common error with quarterbacks. If we actually have a running back here that's going to be coming downhill and we're faking some type of, power play or duo play, inside run type play, the tip of the ball has got to be flat. We've got to be able to guide this right in their stomach, right? And so make it look the same, make it feel the same. You want the play action to look just like the run action. Good balance, good finish. Okay, good. I like it. Good pocket movement. All right, then we get a little reverse and roll. I like it. Long shuffle drill. Maintain a good base. Shoulders over the hips. Fast feet. Violent but under control. Urgency. Game speed. That's one thing I would say. Train everything that you do. You've got to move like you're playing in a game. You don't let any practices be wasted from the standpoint that you're not taking live reps in your mind. All right, so taking a interesting. So if we're going to take a one step under center, I always believed it was optimal to really get a great open reach step with that right leg. Okay, if you could avoid opening your left shoulder that much, try to avoid that. But sometimes we got to be able to set an angle to be able to accelerate away from somebody, and I get it. But then try to pin that shoulder back at the target. A little 3-step drop. Try to get that ball right at the eye level of a receiver. On these types of throws, if they give you a different target, it's low, then, frame it low on their body. But all in all, I see a lot of good from your throwing motion, your movement with your feet. You're a smooth athlete. Can never learn enough about the game. Be inquisitive about the game. So from listening to Coach Luis's description of what he wanted here, I want to make sure we get our depth. And again, I explained it earlier, why. Okay, you could see that right foot false step again. Okay, I think the ball's in good position. Make sure your eyes are right on the running back's stomach, the imaginary running back's stomach. We want to really sell it. Then right at the mesh, give a little dip and give a little nod down to the back as if you're handing it off, and give that extra illusion to the linebackers that you are handing it off. I'm going to try to get our depth here as much as possible. Okay, a great pre-snap read. Anytime you turn your back to the defense, a great pre-snap read is going to be critical, so that you can then snap your eyes and see where the defenders move to after the snap. Ideally, you're trying to get two of those secondary players to really come down and to run support. You can see your left arm, your right arm are a little off levels. You want to try to keep those on the same level, especially on the initial load. A lot of good there. It's good to have you. Pleasure to have you. Keep working. And let me know if you have any questions. Thank you.